So let me very quickly set the context for today's discussion. We will be spending around 1 hour, not more than that. Because you take any skill, there's a limit up to which we can learn. We cannot finish any skill in 1 hour, so we will not be able to finish this also. So we'll spend only 1 hour today. And today we are going to discuss about something which I used to hate, Mahendra. That is numbers. So many people with whom I got an opportunity to share my story. I hate number. I failed in 9 standards. I just hate numbers. But your love is numbers. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have someone whose love is numbers. So we'll go deep in that. But even before we enter, in order to ensure that we are extracting the maximum benefit from this session, let me tell you what exactly we are going to do today. And then I will hand over the session to Mahendra. Me and Mahendra, we were discussing about few things. And Mahendra has a point that numbers standalone are misleading. They have absolutely no meaning. Isn't it, Mahendra? Did I interpret you correctly?
Yes, that's right.
Unless and until we are not telling a story behind the number, unless and until we are not putting the numbers in the correct context, there is absolutely no number has absolutely no meaning. Let me share one very quick incident which will help everyone to understand what do you mean by visualization of numbers, or how do I convert numbers into a story so I can quickly tell the numbers also, stories also, even in the conference room, even in the board meeting. Am I right, Mahendra?
That's correct.
Even if you're standing in front of investors and talking about million and billion dollar deals, but when you learn how to convert your numbers into a story, it's easy for the audience to understand. He believes in that. So I hate numbers, but I love something which you love, that is stories. So we decided to spend time together in front of audience so we all can take the maximum benefit from this. My son came to me one day, Mahendra, and he said, I got 18 in maths. I said, that's very less. Then I said, out of 18 out of, he said 30. I said, not bad. 18 out of 30 is not bad. And then I said, who is the topper in your class? He said, XYZ person. How much he or she got? He said, 21. I said, now it's 18 is looking a little good now. Right? So he said, Dad, I'm number 2 in the class. So the 18 is there, but the way, let me launch the poll. Even the number 18 is still there, but in the story, the way we are looking towards 18 have changed. How many of you agree with this? Click on launch. You have to launch the poll. You are the host. Just launch a poll, Mahendra. Just click on A. If you guys agree that, yes, Praveen, number is standard, but if you change the story, we change the way we look towards a number. Click on A. Click on B. No, Praveen, we don't. A, if you. B, if you don't. Oh, host and panelist can't vote. Host and panelist can't vote. Okay. Are people voting, Mahendra?
Yes, that's right. Yep, they're voting.
So we can just wait for maybe 70% of voting, and then we can respectfully stop the vote and reveal the results.
Sure.
So the first time I'm hosting the session, I don't have results in front of me. So now I always have the results in front of me. Okay, stop the queue. I'm not that patient. Stop it. Share the results.
Done. Yeah.
Okay, how much? Oh, is it? So your job is so easy, Mahendra. You ask.
I know.
So you ask people who are 100% interested in learning how to convert data into story. One last thing, and I will hand over the session to you one by one. We'll move forward. Mahendra has spent almost 18 years in corporate now. He belongs to IT department. He belongs to IT sector rather. IT is playing a vital role in the evolution of this planet Earth. We all know that technology is important, and I'm happy that you are in technology. But you are sharing with me that, Praveen, one challenge we have in IT is data. And the problem is not data, the problem is the volume of data. Huge volume of data. And if you're really interested to interpret that data in less time, then there are certain skills required, which normally the name we have given to it is called dashboard or visual dashboard. There are certain skills required which can help you to communicate the data effectively in front of people. Today we are going to spend time on that skill. Well, my first question to you. Tell me, data visualization in very simple words. Imagine for a moment as someone who's in the infancy stage of the career. So when you say data visualization, according to you, what do you mean by that?
So thank you. Thank you, Praveen, sir, for asking this question. Now, I can put it in a very simple way that you make a picture out of the data, but let me get slightly detailed into it to understand this. Now, let's say that you have we all love cartoons, right? As a kid, I'm sure most of us, even today, might be loving it, whether it is call it Tom and Jerry or you call it Nobita. For me, my favorite cartoon is Shin-chan. Now, before creating that cartoon, there are certain characteristics that we analyze it, what age we want, what height, what kind of a personality we want to create it. Now, if I provide all this data to you, you may probably not like it. But what if I create a character out of it? And then that character is telling the stories. I think that's what people will love it. And that's what which we are doing with data. And when we say data visualization, you have got a huge data. And I'm sure none of us will like it. None of us will like it. Just look into it. We spend hours and hours and hours in terms of discussing it. But imagine we create a character out of it and start telling the stories with that. People fall in love with that. And that's what a data visualization is all about.
So are you saying that if I have to understand as a person who is not that interested in data, but have to use data, and I'm not that interested in doing yoga, but have to do yoga, you cannot run away from data. So if I'm that kind of person, you're saying that. Now imagine that you are inside the conference room and you have created a character, and that character is actually telling the data. It's easy for the audience also to listen. So there's certain degree of dramatization also, visualization also. So the understanding of data is good. Are you on that page, Mahendra?
Exactly. Exactly.
That is called data visualization.
That's what we call it as a data visualization. You put numbers in pictorial format, and then you tell stories with that. That's
So,
where you are actually creating an impression.
so I'm respectfully asking this question to you, and that's the reason I interrupted you in between also slightly. So when you said pictures, so are we talking about only graphs or something else also?
Graph is one part of it, or I would say 70 to 80%. Plus,
Uh-huh.
there are infographics which people use it, but mainly it's graph.
Mainly is graph. So utilization of visuals to visualize data is data visualization. Sure, that's
Exactly. Exactly.
another thing.
That
To take this conversation further, see, even I have spent 10 years almost in corporate, and we used to use Excel sheet, right? I think like we have Colgate, toothpaste, data Excel, like in Parleji. That's how we have that kind of feeling we have towards Excel, towards data. Correct. Now, one very common thing which I've observed, including me, when I did that mistake, very careful using this word mistake, that even though Excel is such an important aspect of data storage and data analysis and data showcase, but we have never learned Excel. It's like most of us, we have just started observing and started learning from here and there, never a proper course on Excel. So my question to you is this: is it really worth learning data visualization, or I can understand there are few people who are hardcore requirement of their job is data visualization, but we are not just talking about those type of people. We are talking about people who are product managers, people who are engineers, doctors. They don't use data every day. So is it really required for everyone to learn data visualization, even if there's a scope of using data in some cases, or it's only for some specialized people, Mahendra?
so we all are actually surrounded by data. And when we say that it is only for a specific people, I think we are actually doing an injustice in that way. Whether it is a doctor, you may probably not be directly dealing with it, but you require data. If you are not working, you need to hire somebody to literally tell the stories related to the data that will help you out to make a proper decision. So this is for each and every individual. You can name it, and that person has to deal with the data. For example, even a recent budget session that influences us in each and every aspect. And if people would have seen our finance minister just talking it, I'm sure that most of the people wouldn't have understood. What if the same thing would have told in as a part of the stories, right? That would have literally become an impactful to each and every citizen of India, because that impacts the life of an individual.
Are you criticizing Finance Minister of India?
I'm saying there is a better way of presenting it.
Acha, you're just sharing with him there is a scope of improvement, which everyone has,
Exactly.
including you and me,
Exactly.
even the Prime
Exactly.
Minister, right? I think
I'll,
he
I'll,
will take it in the right context.
I'll just take 1 second, and if I have to, because definitely we really do not want to get into the budget discussion, but I'll just take 30 seconds, a quick 30 seconds. And okay, what if this is how we would have told the story, right? Where this money comes from. I'll just take 30 seconds and say that, okay, 35% of the money that is actually coming from borrowing, followed by 16% is by GST. Now, this is so easy to understand. On the right hand side, if we look at it, how are we actually allocating the money, right? So this makes more difference. I don't want to get into it because it diverts the topic, but then yes, this is so easy way for people to catch the attention and understand it.
Okay, so one question popped up in mind when you showed that dashboard. And let me ask that question, and you have to launch a poll. How many of you, those who are in data, or those who have scope of using data, how many of you had this feeling in your mind when he was showing that dashboard? Yeah, all okay, but it's very difficult to create this kind of dashboard. Click on A. Click on A. Yeah, it's all okay, but I have seen this kind of dashboard before, but these are difficult to create dashboards. I don't have time to learn all this kind of dashboards. Click on it. Click on B. No, I think it's easy. A, it is difficult to make this kind of dashboard. B, it is easy. A, it is difficult. Difficult in the sense, it will take a lot of time for me to know. Then I have to complete one online course also. Then I have to attend some sessions also, and all that. The rest of it, we all know that, right? So that difficult, A or B? No, not difficult. A or B? A or B? A or B? Even if you have a 60-65% of voting, yeah, you can just share the results. 63% people are saying difficult, and 37% people are saying not difficult. Okay, 63%, including I, including. Now, my question to you is this, and we'll cut down the conversation. I'm the Excel user. I'm using Excel sheet. I know plus minus XYZ. With that knowledge, yeah, you're asking this to a farmer difficult, it has to be difficult for the farmer. But with that knowledge of Excel, at least basic, if someone has that, is it difficult, Mahendra, to develop that kind of dashboard?
So the first thing is Excel has evolved, right? And it is so easy now that you don't even need an Excel, in fact. So we have a different tool, one of the major tool, what we call it as in Google Studio. That's an ultimate tool wherein like any layman can learn with that and then create a very impressive, interactive data visualization with that.
So you're saying that we have to move from Excel if someone wants to visualize the data in a better way, easier way, to Google Dashboard.
Excel is required, but when I say that it is a very, very simple thing, which is just like a simple way of data entering kind of and stuff, or just loading and saving it. But you don't need like a complex Excel knowledge the way you used to. Why? Because that's going to be acting as your database or a repository. So the knowledge earlier that was required versus now is completely different. Google Dashboard makes it so easy, even if you're not a programmer, coder, you just plug around and it solves your problem.
But how many people have heard about Google Dashboard? Is it worth asking to the audience? How many people have heard about Google Dashboard? How many people have heard about Google Dashboard? Because unless and until we don't understand where exactly we are, there's no logic of moving forward. Click on A if you have heard about Google Dashboard. I have heard about Google Dashboard. Click on B, never heard about Google Dashboard. A, you have heard about it. B, never heard about it. A, heard about it. B, never heard about it. The first time today when you are in India at 7:59 IST, for the first time some word entered in my Google Dashboard today, or I've heard about it. Oh my God. It's almost 50-50%. The house is almost divided, isn't it? So tell me, Are you unpleasantly surprised or pleasantly surprised that such a beautiful tool which is already available can be easily used to convert your data into visuals? Around 50% people are not aware. Is this a good feeling in you or bad feeling in you at this point of time? Give me the access to that feeling.
So see, there are two ways of looking at it. One is it is so important that now 50% people are becoming aware of it. And at the same time, we know that it is so important. So there is an opportunity for the 50% of the people that, okay, wow, there is something which is there, and then everybody is picking it up. Let
Right.
me start joining that dot. Yeah.
So in last 16 minutes, we have moved in this journey that what is data visualization? You have beautifully explained the concept of character, which was now not there anymore. Character has to visualize the data. And then optimization of data visualization, or the easier way, the better way, the modern way, the contemporary way of doing it is Google Studio rather than Excel. Are you on the same page, Mahendra?
Yes. Yes.
Can you explain this whole concept of Google Studio with help of one example?
Sure. Sure. Now, see, we spoke about number tells the story, right? Now, let me tell you that aren't we all really frustrated or we are angry when we actually see the number of cases that are pending? If you look at it as of today, 60 lakhs cases are actually pending in a high court. Now it is so easy just to talk or have a coffee gossip or gossip over the tea or just a talk, general talk that, okay, there are so many cases pending, nothing is happening about it, right? And when we start sharing stories with that, that's what it creates an impact and it helps in terms of influencing the people. Now I have created an hypothetical example with that number, but an example is an hypothetical. So let me just share that. All right. Now see here, the difference between what I spoke earlier and what I'm speaking it now. So what I say is, I say that there are 60 lakhs cases that are pending. Now in that, there are 43 lakhs is a civil cases and 17 lakh is a criminal cases. Now, from the percentage perspective, this is how it is divided. But the thing is, when we say there are so many cases pending in India, but what exactly it is talking about? There are only two states. So not to having any offenses regarding the specific state, I've made it as S17 and S25, so state 17 and state 25. Now, these are all the two states that are contributing 50% of the cases in India. Now, suppose if I just interact it, that what are all, even in that state, what should I mainly focus on? Now, if you look at it,
So you can actually
it
interact.
just, yeah, we can interact it. That's right. If you look at it in that state 17, we say that there is only one specific city which is actually creating a problem with the number of cases, right? Now, isn't this something changes our conversation rather than saying that so many cases pending in India? I think if we start focusing on this specific city, we are going to curb close to 15 lakhs cases. Now, suppose even in that way, when I really want to talk about it, that what are all the cases that are really important to us? So this generally talks about it, that there are close to 49,000 cases that are of high importance. What if I just click on it? Or suppose if I start interacting with this, there are greater than 5 years cases. How many are there? So the moment I start interacting with this, it gives the result. That there are 41% of the cases that are actually pending from more than 5 years.
So this is looking something like software, right? And moment we see this kind of interaction, when I click here, when we click there, we have that feeling of software. So is this some coding required here to learn Google Data Studio, or no coding is required?
There is absolutely zero coding in this one. It is just like a plug and play. You play a bricks game, you just do here, there, here, there, here, there, and just click on the setting. And that's
Tell
it.
me, I'm respectfully stopping you. The data in this sheet, what is the source of this data? Where from this data is coming from? Have
Sure.
you archived data somewhere else and it's just capturing the data from there, or where are you entering the data?
Sure. So this data is actually coming from
It's showing loading at your end also or only at my end?
no. Okay, so this data is actually coming from this spreadsheet. Now this is the one.
No, you have to stop the screen share and again restart the screen share. That might display the right screen. And
All
some
right.
Zoom has this bug sometime.
Okay,
Just, reshare the screen.
sure. So this is where the data is actually coming from.
Acha.
Now you asked a question about somebody should know the Excel. You should only know how to copy and paste. That's it. That's what you should be knowing it when it comes to Excel.
So this is Google
Right?
Sheet.
Yeah, this is a Google Sheet. This is currently I have loaded in an Excel for the demo purpose, but the data in the graph is coming from Google Sheet, which is exactly a replica of this.
So you are saying that the same data which you have this in Excel, you have pasted in Google Sheet.
Exactly.
And the dashboard which you have shown is extracting and pulling the data from the same Google Sheet.
Exactly.
If I change the data in the Google Sheet, automatically my dashboard will be updated.
Yes, it's a live, it's an interactive. You make the changes, you refresh it, and data is refreshed.
Where is that Google Sheet?
I can share that.
So another advantage of this, if you are using Google Studio, unlike offline, so even if you are just updating the Excel sheet and if someone is accessing the dashboard, everyone is, for example, the team is working. So because it is on cloud, everyone gets the updated data.
Exactly.
Good.
So let me share the screen.
So,
I'll stop sharing this.
So do we need to download the app of Google Dash? Or is there any app here which we need to user has to download, or we can just do it on browser also?
These are just a browser based. There is no app that is required for this.
Okay.
Okay, 1 minute.
Sure, take your time.
I shared a wrong screen.
Sometimes, we consider silence as no communication. Silence is a good integral part of communication, isn't it, Mahendra?
Yeah, true.
So I think we will enjoy the silence meanwhile we are sharing the screen.
Okay, so let me just add it over here.
Sure.
The thing is, I'm not able to merge the screen. So just give me a second.
Yeah, don't merge
This
the
is
screen.
an easy way. Yeah. So here is a Google Sheet. So this makes my job easy now.
Of the same data.
Exactly the same data. Yeah.
Okay. So here you have S1 state, city, civil, what type of case subtype. So,
Exactly.
So like you take any data, imagine that if you have data of HR, salary data, or even a housewife has household data.
Yeah.
It has been told to us that data is only for offices, no corporate. No, data is data. Correct?
Exactly.
I think anyone who is comfortable with Google Sheet and comfortable in feeding data can convert this data into a dashboard. But I think the very common question should come. Tell us now how to do it. Can you just demonstrate that, Praveen, how to do it? How to convert this into that colorful dashboard?
Okay. So to demonstrate it, let me just share it. Okay. And it is as easy as you go to datastudio.com, right? And you create one blank report. So this is, I'm just doing it from the first, right?
Okay.
And then you pick it up a Google Sheet.
Okay.
Now, here there is one example that I'm just picking it up from the sales perspective. Let us say from an expense, right? So this is one Google Sheet that I have with me.
Okay.
And I just say that add. So this is how I'm just making a connection. I'm just connecting a sheet. No coding is required.
To dashboard.
Yeah,
So connecting the sheet to the dashboard.
exactly. So first thing is I'm just connecting it, and now I'll just start loading the graphs.
But someone has to architect that dashboard, or there will be a template dashboard available already.
There are templates dashboards that are available. You decide that what fields you want to display it. So that is a tick mark. You just select it. These are all the fields I want it, and it's handy. This acts a little weird when I'm sharing the screen. 1 second.
Sometimes that's one bug we have in Zoom, that when we are sharing the Chrome or browsers, it takes a lot of time for sharing. That's one bug there when I face several times.
So I'll 1 second. I'll just stop. Once it loads, I'll reshare it.
So one more question. Meanwhile, it takes own time for getting loaded. We always talked about story, that I can understand this graph dashboard you have shared. Oh, this is a good way of converting data. But where is the story aspect here?
So see, the story aspect is mainly in terms of how are you communicating it? One, using the data, like the way when I spoke about the cases, right? How are we actually sharing the stories? If I just simply talk about these are all the cases, or these are all this many number of cases that which we have pending, it really doesn't make any difference unless you are actually bringing a story aspect in it. Now, let me give you an example. 9 o'clock is a prime time for the news channel. And I was just watching news, sitting on my sofa, and suddenly my wife just came in after speaking to her neighbor. And then she just said that, Mahendra, do you know our neighbor Vidya? She got a job of 90,000 rupees per month. I was like, wow, 90,000 is really a very handsome amount. And I could understand looking at her that even she was looking for a job for some time. But then during that discussion, some topic came up wherein like where exactly she's getting a job. So in order to get the job, she has to move to Chennai, and all the arrangements she had done it. And I was like, what kind of an arrangement? So she took a house on rent, which is like 30,000. I was like, okay. And they have got 2 kids. If we divide fees for the school per month, that would come up to 20,000 per month. So straightforward 50,000 is gone. Commuting it, she actually got a car on an EMI, which is per month another 10,000. 60,000 is gone. Now she has to literally hire a caretaker because she's working. For the caretaker, basic utility expenses, you call it current bill, mobile, internet, and all other things, plus your housemate, it's another 20,000. 80,000 is gone. Now cash on hand, it's 10,000. The moment we saw this and 10,000, we started looking at each other, and both of us had got the same thought. Is it really worth she actually accepting that offer? And see the story, how that perspective it gets changed when we say that, wow, 90,000 too. Is it really worth taking that 90,000? It's exactly same in line with what you're talking about your son, right? That he got 18 marks.
So it's just like, if you see an ad that someone has got job in UK, 10 lakh rupees per month, but you go to UK, 10 lakh rupees per month is the average. So you don't know that he has got job in UK. We just see 10 lakh rupees per month. He's working in UK. The average salary is 10 lakh.
Exactly.
Like that.
True.
That's true. I agree with you. That's a point. So you're saying that even inside the conference room, I think the number one user of data is salespeople. I think the way data makes and breaks their life, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Even if your sales numbers are not good, but if you are presenting a correct story behind the numbers, then also it's very easy to actually tell this point in front of people. See, the numbers are not matching, but I have worked hard within my capacity. Even I have worked hard. Even you are equally responsible. We are not matching that number. I think that's the way we look towards data. Right? There are 2 aspects, Mahendra, here, and then I will come back to that screen. One is visualization of data with the help of tools, actual visualization of data. And the another aspect which you're talking about is your ability to present that data.
Yeah.
Right? You might have the world's best visualization and the painting. You imagine there's a world's best painting in front of you, and then this is the painting. Right? So the painting is beautiful, but no one is explaining to it. So I think no matter how good your dashboard is, but one skill which you have to complement or one skill which you have to add is the way you present that data. And I think you're very good in that also. Congratulations for that. That's the reason I think you're doing good in your life. Good. Great. Come back to that screen. Tell me, show us.
Sure. So it has loaded here. Let me share this screen. This screen is called as.
So now you're showing us how we can actually convert into a dashboard, right? Is it possible
Exactly.
in the light of all
Yep.
these technological glitches? Is it possible to show Mahendra?
Yes, yes. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just showing it. Okay. So here is the one. Perfect. I think you can see now the screen. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Now see here how easy this tool is to use. Once we have this, and if I say that add a chart, right? And if I say, okay, let me add this to show how my expenses is. So by default, it picks up some data. So this is how it shows our expenses, right? I did not do anything. It automatically talks about how my expenses is divided. Now, what if I just want to change that instead of these products, right? I want something else. So this is where I need to just talk about it. Wherein
And
like
this data is coming from that Google Sheet.
exactly, right? So when I say that I want actually get into broad category, right? And then here is what my data it shows that this is how my expenses are, right? It's as simple as that. I did not do any coding. I just changed it, right?
So a housewife can actually store data in Google Sheet. If you have WhatsApp, you can also operate Google Sheet. I think no problem.
Google Sheet, we can operate through that. Yeah.
I think it's not more difficult than handling WhatsApp. WhatsApp is complicated, by the way. Handling WhatsApp is very complicated. So Google Sheet is easy to operate, easy to use in case if you have the intention of using data and presenting data and storing data. So this is something for everyone, not only for offices, but of course the usage is more there. So this is this simple, and of course, like any other thing, I think like any other skill, there is a we have to move forward and we have to go more advanced also. Okay, just respectfully stop the screen. We have limited time left, so we'll invite few questions from the audience in remaining time, and we'll try to build the conversation on that. Okay, we are opening for the Q&A now. Now you have spent almost 34 minutes with us. Can you just see the setting of chatting and just keep it to panelists? They can chat with panelists, not everyone. Okay. We have one question here. Yeah, that means we should have the sheet data with us ready, or can we take the data available in Google? That's a good question. That do we really need Excel sheet, or we can directly feed data in the Google sheet? If I have understood the correct question, that's correct.
So with this, so that means we should have the sheet data with us ready, or we can take data available in Google. So the answer is you don't need a separate Excel. You just need to directly get it to a Google Sheet and work it. Google Sheet is actually like the way Excel is a product from Microsoft. Google Sheet is a spreadsheet product from Google.
Okay. How about data breaching? What do you mean by data breaching?
Even I'm just trying to understand the question.
Data theft. Yeah, someone is stealing your data. How data privacy when you add data?
Okay. So I think that's a very good question, in fact. So here we have a setting with whom you want to share it, right? You want to share it only with the one whom you are going to give the link, or you want to share it only with specific people, you can select it. Just like your Google Photos, right? In the photos, when you're actually putting an album and you have your own privacy setting that with whom you want to share it.
Yeah, just like videos, like unlisted or public. So, and because it's from Google, I think we can trust.
Yeah,
right? So data privacy is whatever data privacy Google have documented. That's a data privacy. That's a very precise answer to that question. Yeah. Any other question on based upon the discussion which we had about storytelling with the help of data, or still some technical questions? We will spend a little time on that. Sir, can you tell once again how to do? So what we will do, anyhow, we are going to create the WhatsApp group in case if you have missed it, in case if you have not understood. So we are creating the WhatsApp group for all the people who are in this live webinar, and we will be sharing the recording of this particular event in that WhatsApp group. At the same time, we will also share one Google form there. And in case if you have more questions, Mr. Mahendra is there in that WhatsApp group. He will answer those questions, right? So we'll rather save time. Can we link this to database server? Yeah, that's a Hari Krishna is asking.
Exactly. The
Have
answer
you
is yes. The answer is yes. You can link this to the database server. Now, definitely, if you're talking about organization, so that's a permission that you need to get it. But if you have your own server, if you have your own, like say your own business and you have your own server, you can directly pick it up this data from the server. You don't need to have a spreadsheet. You just connect it using your. There are various options, including an ODBC, but there are various options to connect it. You connect it, and your data is ready. Just pick it up from there, and that's a very interesting thing, right? You need not even input the data. Your databases keep creating the data. You just click on refresh, and your data is refreshing it. So yes, you can connect with the database server directly.
One more question coming in my mind. See, when you buy a car, and a new car, a newly launched car, maybe, then first thing comes in your mind that, hey, I have never seen that car before. But moment you take the decision and you go on a road, you will find many cars like that. Right? So you might have observed people using the data because your love is data. When you start running, you find many runners there. You might have observed. Can you just share a few examples where people have really beautifully used data storytelling in different situations within your keeping the compliances and all in mind? But a few examples where it's a good example of data storytelling. Anything coming in
So
your mind?
sure. So that one thing immediately when you said, right, that came up in my mind was it's like in a mall,
Mm-hmm.
there is a data that is collected in terms of number of cars that are coming in one, and then what kind of a car model that is coming up. Now, based on that, they say that there are 20 BMWs, 30 Audis, and 100 XUVs on an average. Now, based on that, the analysis that was arrived, and when we say storytelling, right? So this is how it is. Like in a month, XYZ mall has this many income category of the people. So that means that if you want to sell your product, these are all the product that you can launch it in this mall, and the hit rate or the success rate is XYZ based on these are all the income level of the people based on their expense capacity. So this is one of the example that which we people are using it for the live data. And one more thing, budget is what I just shared it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to know if at all, if there is in your memory, someone using data in the small conference rooms, in meetings, board meeting. Yeah, yeah. Few
I have
examples.
that handy. Yeah. So I have that handy. Now see,
Uh-huh.
this is the data that I have created
Uh-huh.
again for the demo, or I would say that for the practice purpose, wherein it generally talks about that how sales are happening in a specific organization. So I've just named it as an MS Shopping City. And
Mhm.
this generally talks about now how to tell the stories. Now you generally talk about sales numbers, this, but then remember when you are dealing with an interactive chart, that's what it creates your storytelling. First thing is it helps you out to tell the story, and second thing is it makes your job so easy. Now let's talk about it. If I have to spend just 2 minutes and then tell the stories related to that, so I'll say that our total sales are 4.6 million. This is what our profit is. This is what our profit margins are, and we are dealing with 10 dealers. Now, our major sales is happening in washing machine, but then how many are Indian products related to washing machine and how many are foreign product? What if I just click and then start interacting it, right? So you do that and everything you have it at the fingertip, right? You have a total, we say that 50% right now. Earlier it was showing it as an Indian product and the foreign product, but then the moment you click it, so something is got, yeah, this has got loaded at least. So you start sharing the story that washing machine, our major sales are actually happening in Western cities as well as in the Southern side, right? Whereas on the North side and the East side, it's very less, right? So this is the way it helps you out to make your presentation so simpler in form of stories. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's beautiful
And
because storytelling is not about a monologue where you continuously talk only one thing. It's like based upon the conversation, we can just pick that part, this part, based upon the discussion. Imagine that you're pitching an idea in front of investor, and based upon the area of his or her interest, you can just click on that part. You just narrate a story or tell a story about that part. I think the data presentation has to be like this.
in fact, 1 minute, I will reshare it because I think when I share the screen, I wanted to show one more important aspect about it. Now here, see what happens is you need not remember the things, right? As long as you are confident that I have everything on my screen, there is nothing called you need to remember, recollect, memorize the presentation and talk about it. You're actually interacting it. And that interaction itself is just like the way you're interacting with your friends, you're interacting with your dear ones. That's what we talk about as storytelling, right? It makes your job so easy in terms of influencing it and passing your message. The moment your message is passed, that becomes a level two in terms of influencing it.
Yeah, I think we are well convinced. We are respectfully stretching this point. I think people are already convinced here. I think how much time we have? Last 2 minutes. Uh, Last one question, and then we will just share that WhatsApp link also. And those who want to take this conversation further, this yes, Praveen, this is something which I want to learn, or maybe you are in corporate and you belong to L&D department or some other departments where you see a scope of your colleagues learning that, because this skill is important. So, Mahendra, just can you just share that WhatsApp link in the group?
Sure, I'll do that.
And then I have one question, and then we will end this conversation. We have to respect time also. One question for you, Mahendra, based upon your experience of last 18 years in IT, and based upon because you have fallen in love with data, you might have learned and observed. You're not the person who has learned data storytelling because you wanted to become a trainer of data storytelling. You learn data storytelling because you wanted to learn. It was a requirement of your growth. So, because we have data, all the possible businesses they have data. Do you see that learning this skill will really help people to boost their professional growth?
100%. Now, why I say that is it makes you stand out of the crowd. Now, see, when I say that 18 years of experience, the way I drew it, people were generally talking about quality errors. People were generally talking about performance. And then it used to result in long hours meeting. And the moment I just picked it up this data, within 30 minutes, and I started sharing the stories related to this is where your major focus area should be. These are all the two people who are actually contributing to the overall team performance. These are all the two people who are actually decreasing this people performance or sorry, team's performance or the quality of the data. Convinced. Now remember, when you have this data handy, that these are all the markets, there are more documents that are flowing in. It makes you stand outside the crowd. One. Second thing is, generally in a corporate world, we are actually dealing with data. And that's the reason we call it as an information technology enabled industries. And when we are dealing with this data, it is everyone's requirement, or I would say it's a need of an hour this time, wherein like you make some sense out of the data and just don't go with the data. And when you're actually making sense of the data with these skills, it helps you out not to memorize or just go with like fear in mind and then present it. You just go talk as if you are talking
Absolutely.
with them and with the data. Yeah,
Absolutely. Otherwise, few people can bore you for to till death in conflict.
Exactly.
Respectfully saying that. I witnessed that. I personally did that in my life. I remember when I gave my first presentation when I was in Sikla. After the presentation, my boss came to me and he said, Praveen, the presentation is over now. Now you can smile. I said, yes. See, guys, then we have to end this conversation. Doesn't matter whether you are in job or in business. I think it's very important the way we present things in those small conference rooms or big conference rooms. Those presentation can make and break lives. That those presentation can actually differentiate you from others. Even Mahendra is saying that. World is competitive and we need something unique to stay ahead in a very good way, not that rat race. Google Studio, visualization of data, converting data into story and presenting in a very short time, persuasion, convincing, all these skills will help you to differentiate yourself from others. So we are very happy that today we both have decided to spend time together and you guys have taken time from your busy life and also decided to time with us. Within a capacity, we have tried our best to raise awareness about this simple but important skill. Those who are interested, we have shared the link. Can you just confirm? Everyone just type yes in the chat box if you have got the WhatsApp link. We have shared the WhatsApp link. Join the WhatsApp link. Thank you very much for confirmation. Make sure if you are interested to learn this skill. And Mahendra is there. Within his capacity, he will listen to the questions and within his capacity, he will answer those questions. With this, Mahendra, I think we have to respect time. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm respectfully ending this session.